What's up, everybody? It's Chad. I'm back again with another episode of Ask Chad Grassy Logic. I'm here today with my friend Stacey. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate you for taking that time and, rearranging stuff for me.
No problem. I appreciate you with your patience. Today was a little bit one of those Murphy's Law kind of days. She's joining me today, kind of coming from a perspective of someone who's worked in the industry, and I really like that because that's where I want to highlight sometimes too. But one of the main topics that we're going to be talking about is the over sexualization of people within the industry. How much it's happened, but we'll get into that here in a little bit. Thank you all again for joining me. We're going to kick off this episode here in a second. I just want to remind you guys that the legislative session is going on. We'll talk about it more here soon. If you have any questions on who your legislator is, what bills are coming, make sure you guys follow my socials and all that to make sure you stay up to date. Today I was posting stuff. Things happen randomly and they happen spur of the moment. So, just bear with me because, yeah, like I say, Semper Gumby. So let's get on to the episode. Thank you again for joining me. But this is actually our first time, meeting essentially, because you were just on Instagram and you approached me essentially on there and wanted to get on the show and, tell what you had to say. And I thought that was great. So for myself and all my audiences, please, introduce yourself and tell us who you are.
So, my name is Stacey. I have been in this industry for quite some time. Ugh, I started with a little mom and pop shop that it
Mhm.
was really cute. I loved it. No hate to them. Shout out to Astro Buds. Really cool people. Love them. Really like the owners, the grow. I think everything is awesome there. So essentially, I kind of just started off there, and really, I was actually more in the CBD game. So,
Mhm.
that's kind of where I learned a lot more about like CBD, CBNs, and CBGs, which a lot of people, don't know about. And I think
Yeah.
it's a great place to start off. You get to know about like the accessories that go with different types of extracts or different types of flour, what works, what doesn't work. And you kind of find your purpose on what you really are. Are you more of a bong person? Are you more papers? Do you like more blunts? Like it really helps you find that. And definitely I feel like I'm more of a paper roller like kind of person. I like that
Mhm.
ritual.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of how I started. That's kind of my little intro, my little story.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Are you still in the industry now?
I am. I actually am. I
You don't have to
have
tell
been.
us where, but yeah.
Oh no, you're good. I've been in and out of the industry quite some time. I was in the industry for about a year, and I got out for a little while, and I got back in, and I've now kind of just trying to find my spot to see even if I want to continue with the industry because so much has been happening that positively, yes, but also some really negative stuff that kind of just make you feel like, is it even worth it? Like, I don't want it to make me hate what I love?
Yeah.
So it kind of feels, it's a really in between, like stuck in a rock, like in between a hard place.
Yeah.
So I'm not too
Yeah.
sure
I have a
yet.
I have a hate love relationship with it sometimes too, so I get it. It can be really frustrating, and then dealing with the other stuff that comes with it too. I'm sure.
Yeah, and all the
Um,
aftermath of it, it's just
yeah,
insane. It really is.
yeah,
So
that's how it always happens, of course, right?
definitely.
So, well, that's interesting. Well, do you care to maybe share some of the things that you were talking about? I know we were talking about the over sexualization thing, but I'd really like to hear, like your side kind of things that you've dealt with that you really want to talk about. I'm sure there's a lot of other
God.
people who've worked in the industry that have dealt with similar.
Yeah, definitely. I've like I said, I've worked for little mom and pop shops. I've worked for big
Hmm.
companies, big corporate companies. I have been torn down so much by this industry that it's insane. And I mean, let's start off with the sexualization first because
Oh, let's
that's a
do it.
really big one that is really happening in even still is a constant in the industry.
Hmm.
Um, there are a few like big places that I have been in. One of my interviews, the reason why I got hired was because I had a RBF face, not because of my knowledge,
Hmm.
not because of what I knew and how I knew it, and took what the experiences I had in grows and stuff like that, and trimming and knowing how hanging processes are and knowing
Hmm.
all that. It flew right above her head and was like, RBF face, gotta hire that. And I was just kind of
Interesting.
like, that's really weird.
Hmm.
And in that little industry or in that little place of establishment, it got even worse to the point where managers were starting to talk and make rumors about me.
Hmm.
And it was just because I wasn't part of their main group. I didn't start with them. I wasn't an original OG. So they just
Yeah.
decided to make it a living hell for me there. And it got to the point where I had to go to my manager at the time and tell her, "Look, here's my 2 weeks notice, dude. Like figure out who
Yeah.
else you're going to put because I can't do this shit." Like
Yeah.
excuse the language.
No,
But
no, no. By all means, this is yeah. Don't worry about cussing. You can cuss.
I just could not deal with it. I'm that type of person that in growing up, I'm not going to take anybody's BS because all the knowledge
Hmm.
I know has benefit people even just in the CBD game.
Hmm.
People actually taking the right tinctures, taking the right dosage, not just a whole glob of it, and just swallowing it and not knowing why you have to let it sit under your tongue and stuff like
Hmm.
that. And I guess really just trying to educate my community.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, like I said, it just flew over her head and she was just like, RBF face. And I was just like, that's so weird. That's
Yeah.
so why? Like and it's weird because she was so nice to everybody else there. And with me, it was just, I don't know, a whole different vibe. And it was just awkward and weird. So yeah, I left the company.
Hmm.
And there was this other company I've worked with recently that they pay well. They pay really well. I know some people that are part-time that get
Hmm.
paid even better. And it's because of the way they look.
Hmm.
While they worked there, yeah, they started to learn more about what the actual plants were, which one was indica, which one was a sativa, what was what. And guys, definitely men are very I guess it's easy to get lost in a woman the way she looks and say
Hmm.
yes. And believe me, she is so beautiful. She really freaking is. And I'm not one to deny that. But when it comes to marijuana and knowing your products and knowing what you're giving, that's kind of where I'm like, I don't really care about your beauty. Like, what do you know knowledge wise? Because at the end of the day, when that customer comes back and you're not there, whether you're on lunch, you're on break, you're off, and I'm there, for some odd reason, I always end up getting them back and they always end, well, what this girl sold me is not what I liked. And da 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 da.
Yeah.
And I've even had to come back and be like, did you even ask her? Or did you just say yes to whatever she gave you? And
Hmm.
they're like, well, yeah, she was a pretty face that I got distracted with. And I'm like, but then that pretty face wasn't there to roll your joint, huh? Like,
Exactly. Yeah. And then sometimes that pretty face doesn't know any better and sells you something that's just terrible.
no, it
Yeah.
doesn't. And the whole thing when I heard and found out about one of these places doing bikinis,
Yeah. Bikini butt tenders. Yeah.
another Twin Peaks, another Hooters. Might as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
A pair of nice titties. Oh, great. A nice ass turns around. Perfect. But you can't go get your good weed from someone that knows and go sit at a strip club and do that. Or go sit at Twin Peaks, smoke in your car and go do Twin Peaks.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've also known girls that worked at Twin Peaks and got hired.
Hmm. I've
And
seen
it's
that
like,
too.
how? Why? And you don't even smoke? Like, it's insane. It really is baffling how a man or an owner, whether it be a man, female, whatever you like, I don't care. But you walk in there and you're like, I know you don't have any experience, but come on in, is
Hmm.
wild to me. Because then people like me who end up being managers or trainees or leads end up having to teach these people, but then we get in trouble for the lack of knowledge that they don't want to retain.
Yeah. Yeah.
What
And
is it?
a lot of the times, that you run into the owners that will hire just, for the looks of the person and then not give them any of the training. It's okay to be an attractive person in the industry,
Oh,
and to
definitely.
not know
Absolutely.
anything, but either your management is failing you or the ownership, or you need to get off your ass and figure it out yourself. However, there's all those also those people who don't know any better. They're new to the industry, they're young,
Yep.
they're being told by their boss who they look up to a lot. They haven't figured out the world yet, how it really works. And they get told, well, I want you to do it this way, and this way. And that's how they think it works. And so that's how
Yeah.
they kind of go on with it too. And they kind of agree with it. And I was a bartender for a while. So I saw it, firsthand. I actually had a customer complain because I wasn't a female one time. And I was like, well, he didn't call me ugly, so at least that's a plus out of that. This is he was just mad I wasn't a woman.
At least you were handsome. At least like at least
Yeah,
know, he
yeah,
was
yeah. I was like,
appreciative
okay.
of the handsomeness.
Yeah, I was like, well, thanks
That's
for not calling me
wild.
ugly.
That's wild. I mean, to me, it blows my mind because I have worked my way up in this industry. I
Yeah.
mean, I learned a lot from Astrobuds. Like I said, shout out to them because they really Mike from EP Lealize has really taught me a lot. Even when we were together working at, the smoke shops,
Yeah.
he taught me a lot of what actually CBD, CBN, and CBG really does for the body and how
Hmm.
it could really help just it being that itself and alone.
Hmm.
And it was wild to me. And that's really what made me be like, okay, I want to know more. Like, I want to know more. And
Hmm.
I was lucky enough to get the opportunity with them. And it wasn't even because of the way I looked, it was because of who I knew
Yeah.
and who I worked with and stuff
Hmm.
like that. And it was such an awesome opportunity because I got to see their grow firsthand. I got to see how they do it, how much Mike puts into the love and the care to his plants is he's a great guy. He's a really
Yeah.
great guy that loves his weed and knows what he's doing. And if it wasn't for him and his wife letting me be able to trim for them and teach me what their hanging process looked like and how they cut and how they do stuff, I probably would have never expanded my knowledge on things. I
Hmm.
really wouldn't have. And I mean, and I would have never wanted to decide to continue the industry.
Hmm.
Now I did manage a couple of like couple of them, and I will tell you, if it's not a man and you work for nothing but men and it's not their idea, especially if they have a huge ego,
Hmm.
they will dismiss you and make it their own. So
Yeah.
if I ever had a idea for my boss to grow something, whether it be product or to get more people in advertisement, anything like that, I had to implant it in his head like a plant, like a seed. Like I had to like let it fall, trickle wherever it was gonna land, and hope that it would grow because it wasn't. I guess I wasn't attractive enough for him to be like, that's a good idea. Thank you for that.
Hmm.
Or I don't know if he felt like his ego was getting hurt a little because I may not be bam, but I do wear big sweaters to work. I do wear them that they cover my butt. Like, I mean, yeah, sometimes it gets hot because we're walking around and you talking and you're doing a lot of stuff. And yeah, sometimes I have to take off my jacket, but my shirts are still so big on me that sometimes it just looks so unprofessional. And but sometimes when I tie my shirts, I feel like it's too much because they're not wanting to understand what I'm saying or grasp things that I say. So I'm like torn in. A lot of women in this industry are torn on like, what do you do to make a boss or someone listen to you without showing skin or being
Yeah.
showing skin? And I see
Hmm.
some of these. I'm okay with free dress, wear
Yeah.
whatever you want. I'm okay with it. If a company is gonna allow you to wear other vendor shirts, that's great. Or if they supply the shirts, that's even better.
Hmm. Yeah.
um, because I've had to pay out of pocket for some of my shirts that I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah. It's like, come on,
And it's
homie, I'm
not.
working here.
Yeah, you're a big corporate. Okay, I can
Yeah.
understand if you're mom and pop, but you're a big corporate. Like, let's not be stingy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then again, whatever. But it's really hard because I do see some of these girls in really tight onesies or shirts way down here. And even I'm like, damn, I can't even talk to you or let you know what I want because your tits are all in my face. Like,
Yeah.
Jesus, like, girl, I get it. But
Yeah.
it's even hard for me as a woman who knows her stuff to even just be able to talk to someone Or, it really gets people when I'm a customer and I go up to bud tenders and I start asking them, or I'm like, hey, I can't have, a lot of cryo filling in my stuff because I get eye cluster headaches. And they
Hmm.
look at me like, oh shoot, you know your stuff. You're not just a pretty face and a nice ass. And
Yeah.
I'm like, no. And people are like, they kind of don't want to bud tend me anymore because I'm either really picky on what they have because you don't have what I want, or you just aren't knowledgeable knowing what I want. And I
Yeah.
kind of have to be a Karen at that point, which I don't want to be, but
Yeah.
but understand what I'm saying, you know what I mean? Like, and it's really hard. It really is hard in this industry because I've even gotten surpassed and looked at because I didn't look a certain way, or my body wasn't a certain portion, or my attributes just weren't the greatest. And that sucks because I feel like I'm very knowledgeable. I even had some of my people from the smoke shop that were just kind of like regular on the street cannabis users, put a little bit of CBD in there to up it, that have followed me from dispensary to dispensary to dispensary. And the dispensary that I'm at now, I get a lot of people that are like, no, I'm waiting for her. And I've even had even new
That's what you
people.
want.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's what I preferred for,
Hmm.
to have that connection with people. And
Yeah.
I've even had people, this really tall, he's a super sweet guy, but he looks really mean and he's really tall and he really deep voice, and he comes up and he's like, where is she? Where is she? And I thought I was gonna get in trouble. And he was like, where is her? Right there. And I was on the other side of the dispensary and I was like, me? He's like, her. She knows what she's talking about. She gives me good weed. And my boss looked at me like, and I mean, I wear big jackets, big oversized shirts, my Uggs, and comfortable pants. Really, I'm not trying to show off my body, but if I can have someone be like her, I want her because she gives me good weed, not just because of the way I look. That's that's a great review for me,
Yeah. And it should
and
be.
it's awesome, and you
Yeah.
feel good because they're not just looking at you for your body. And feel like if people would just take the time to even just go on YouTube and search what cannabinoids are, search what terpenes are. A lot of people didn't even know because I guess they were distracted by a beautiful face or big
Yeah.
tits or a big butt, that they didn't know that food were had terpenes in it.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, is baffled. It's
Yeah.
really baffling. And I'm just kind of like, how, like, they'll be like, yeah, you're so knowledgeable in this. Like, it's just about reading. It's about following the right ones and who you want to follow, right?
Hmm.
But I just feel like this industry is just too much based on looks, followings, and what you've done before.
Yeah.
It really is.
It's not
And
based
that's,
off of any real experience or what you can bring to the table.
yeah.
And a lot of the times these owners, they miss out on a very, very good candidate like yourself. And even on the male side, they won't hire certain like males. They want to
Those-
hire a female. But a lot of these guys are bringing in such great knowledge that they could
yeah.
improve the staff themselves just by being a part of it. And let's be honest, they came out with the study that found out more women use cannabis. And when I was a bartender, women love men. Fucking, I guess, a little
Oh,
shocking news for everybody.
yeah,
Not all
definitely.
women, but most
Women
women
can
love men.
Oh yeah, women could be just as perverted as men are. Oh,
I grew up with them.
definitely.
I know it.
I have seen it both
Yeah.
ends. I have
Hmm.
seen it even watching bud tenders get hit on by women or even cougars, and it's just
They're the worst.
wild. And I feel like, and it's weird because you say you're from the bar industry, and then it's really wild to me because I've had females come in and you seem like you're a very outgoing, like you're able to keep a conversation, and these girls have worked at bars, and in my head I'm kind of like, you're able to keep a conversation with someone, but you're not able to keep a conversation here in the marijuana industry.
Hmm.
And in my head, and I've even had a girl tell me, it's because I'm socially awkward. But you're not socially awkward when you're at the bar.
Yeah.
Like, that confuses me. How does
Yeah.
that, how in what
I-
way? And that all because you don't know nothing about marijuana. You
exactly.
absolutely know nothing. And I even have a girl right now who's never ever stepped foot in a marijuana in a dispensary before because her boyfriend would go in for her. This is actually her first time ever being in one, working in one, seeing how it works, how it is, how things are displayed. It was her first time. And let me tell you, was it hard? Was it hard to be very patient with someone? And was it hard to look at my boss and be like, okay, all right, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess this is what
Yeah.
you give me. So I mean, she's done beautifully. She's come out of her shell, but it's kind of baffling how you're a bartender and you have social skills. You need those social skills,
Mhm.
but you don't have those social skills for weed. And in my
Yeah.
head, I'm kind of, if I was the owner, I probably, yes, maybe give you a chance. But if I can't see improvement and a quick improvement, you shouldn't have
Yeah.
been in here. I shouldn't have hired you.
Yeah.
Mm.
And but maybe someone else would be a better fit. And maybe the
Yeah.
owner needs to learn from a lesson on hiring people off of certain things like that, because it's okay to not have the experience, but you also need to be willing to learn, and the owner also needs to be willing to teach too. It needs to be a little mutual thing there.
Oh,
But if
yeah.
the owner isn't teaching you, you can still go out of your way and learn things on your own. Talking to very, versed bud tenders or people in the cannabis industry like
Definitely.
yourself or other people. I mean, people ask me stuff all the time, and I have no problem helping them in that sense. And when you're at work and you're there for 8, 9 hours a day, I mean, I'm sure the other bud tenders would have no problem with teaching you some things that would actually
Oh,
make their life
yeah.
better.
I even have two guys. I actually have a few guys on my team where I work right now that are, I am so glad that they have them because they have knowledge in it, either
Mhm.
personal or they've been in dispensaries or they were trimmers. And that is wild to me because
Yeah.
I have had yet to met a trimmer go into the retail side.
Mhm.
And I had finally got one of my great, like, best friends. He's my cousin. Like, he's a great guy. So smart. He makes things that, if you don't, there's people there that still get confused with rosin, resin, and cured and all that stuff. I have two people that can dumb that down so quickly that you can't be like, I still don't get it, you
Yeah.
know? And if
Yeah.
you can't understand what they mean by it, I'm sorry, you should just not be in this industry. Like, you really shouldn't be.
Yeah.
I
And it's
just
not for everybody.
No, it's not.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really isn't. It
Mhm.
really isn't. And I feel like people do learn that very quickly. And I do feel like people think it's a very easy job. I don't think people really understand how detailed you have to be in this industry. You
Yeah.
mess up on one thing, you can mess up the whole system. You can throw one thing off.
Mhm.
And it's wild that people really don't think that's a serious thing. And it's unbelievable to me too that people don't take how serious cannabis can be. I mean, if you
Mhm.
just follow the rules of like keeping your receipt on you, making sure that package is away from you. We all do it. We all smoke in the car or we smoke while we're driving home, whatever the case. I will admit I do it. I'm not, but at the same time,
Allegedly.
yeah, but at the same time, I'm smart about it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be bumping and blasting music and rolling down my windows while smoking.
Flipping people off and shit like an idiot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I always tell people, I hate when people say you're a pothead. I am not a pothead. To me, I feel like there are two types of people. You're either a pothead or a stoner. To me, a pothead is just someone that's reckless with it. You don't
Yeah.
care. A stoner, you learn your mistakes and you're gonna learn better on how to be smarter with what you have. And I feel like I'm a stoner. I've never fully been caught with weed. I've never had a ticket for weed. I've never because I've been smart about it. But am I
Yeah.
high all the time? Yeah, definitely. Duh. My driver's license, I look high.
Yeah.
But I'm not stupid about it either. And I let it be known. I smell like weed. I have a kid. I don't really care. And my kid is really educated in it. He knows that marijuana is something that is a medicine. He knows that. And anytime that is that drug-free week, God forbid, I always get a call from the principal. Can you come pick up your son? He's saying that it's not a drug. He refuses to listen to the officer. All right, on my way. My kid is not wrong. What can I say? I work
Yeah.
in the industry of it. And I just feel like if people just kind of just educated. I don't really care what you wear. I don't care how you look. I don't care what you are. I don't care. You could be Barney. Just
Yeah.
know your weed.
Yeah.
If you're not a smoker, That's fine. Weed is not for everybody. Maybe you just want to be in the industry to be in the industry. That's fine. But if you're going to do that and not test out product, be educated on the terpenes. For real. Like,
Yeah.
really be educated on those terpenes, knowing maybe to get that sense of that's what it's going to taste like.
Hmm.
Not just, it tastes great, tastes sweet. Like,
Yeah. This one's fire. For why?
yeah.
Why is it
Oh, it's
fire? Tell me.
gas. Oh, I've had this one. This one. Like, explain this one.
Yeah.
Or when people ask about carts, explain what it's gonna taste like, or the terpene of it. Don't just be like gas. I hit that all the time. It's the
Yeah.
only one that I smoke. Like,
Yeah.
let's not.
Yeah.
Let's not do that. I
Yeah.
just I wish it was more classes. I wish it was more, you have to take this. I wish it was more, here's a certification and you're certified in this. Like, I really do wish that, because maybe they would take someone who is that knows their stuff serious, that okay, this would be great for my company, this would be
Yeah.
good. Maybe there wouldn't be so much toxicity, maybe this person wouldn't be having sexual relationships with this person. And I've been in two companies already that have a whole 3 pages of about work and, I guess, fraternizing with coworkers, and how it's it's frowned upon. You don't do it. It's an automatic fire. No write-ups, ifs, ands, or buts. But yet you still see it happening
Yeah.
and nothing being done about it.
Hmm.
Nothing. And
And
it's what do you do? What
it's
do
a
you
lot of unprofessionalism in the industry that, unfortunately, and we're going to see that for a while. But it's having conversations like this where we can really start to kind of fix and mend and kind of change
Yep.
things, because the sexualization stuff needs to stop, or we're not going to be taken serious. Like it's already seen as a joke. Like anytime we're brought up in any legislature anywhere, they start laughing and making jokes. Like they make stupid dad puns all the time that annoy the living shit out of me, to be honest. It's like, oh, it's about high time to hear this bill. Oh, who's sitting on the pot? Like, come on, guys.
Such a
Yeah,
good
like it was a,
question.
yeah, I'm just like, come on. I love a good dad joke. That was bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's
yeah,
just
like, and those are
that.
like real things I've heard. I'm like, ugh. So if we start taking ourselves serious, other people will start taking us serious too.
Oh
And to be
yeah.
honest, sometimes I'm guilty of it too. I hate, and I mean I hate dressing up. It's one of the most uncomfortable things ever. I like being comfortable. I'm essentially like you. I want a big hoodie and some sweats on, and I'm good. I'm great. And I hate wearing a bunch of clothes too on top of that. So,
Yeah.
when it comes to dressing up, I hate it. But there's times where I have to do it. I have no choice. I have to put on a shirt. I have to do something. There's times where we have to go against our own norms just so we're taking a little bit more serious. And then once we're taking serious and they can see us in the light of who we are, then we can kind of relax. We're not Google and these tech companies that were able to just kind of be lax in the beginning and we are who we are. We're seen
Yeah.
as drug dealers. Like
Yeah.
we're not seen as tech bros.
Pretty much, yeah. And it's just wild because, I get women being in the industry. It makes it hotter. It makes it sexier. It makes it, damn, she knows how to roll. She knows what she's talking. But wouldn't it be a lot sexier if the woman was educated? I mean, I don't know if nowadays that's hot. But growing back up in like the 90s, it wasn't really like a hot thing to be smart, you know? If
Mhm.
you were smart, you were considered a nerd, a geek, a loser. Um, but now, I mean, can we make that hot? Can we make that sexy? Being
Yeah,
educated in what I'm selling something to you. And even at that, I'm not even selling it to you. Weed sells itself. You came here. You came here knowing what you wanted. I'm just guiding you in over the thousands of products that I have,
yeah.
trying to find you the best one that is going to suit you.
Mhm.
And hopefully you come back because of that, not because of, damn, that bitch was hot. Like, damn, she got a pair of nice titties. Like, no,
Yeah.
let's not. Like, maybe it's a plus, but damn, at least she gave me some really fire and she knew what she was talking about with a nice pair of titties, you know?
I
But if it's
mean,
not
yeah.
that, then What is this industry really doing other than causing more chaos, not only for Texas, but for itself too? I
Yeah,
mean, look what the heck is happening. It's insane. It's
it
really
is. And
crazy.
in New Mexico, we're I wouldn't say seen as leaders in the industry when it comes to regulation and stuff like that. But a lot of places are watch us, and we are on the radar in many aspects, or not just nation but around the world, because
Yeah.
of the approach that we did this, and we have an opportunity to really show people, that we can do this the correct way. And New Mexico has something unique, but we need to kind of get away from this machismo mindset that's
Definitely.
essentially kind of flooding the industry because one, you guys are missing out on a lot of good employees. Two, you're fucking up the industry because now you're just having these people sell whatever just so you can make the buck and use a pretty face to do it. And what that
Yeah.
tells us is that you're not trustworthy. And then that doesn't last forever. And you can't do that for that long. Like, so when I go to a place and I see nothing but chicks there, and I'm hearing conversations on the side of them talking to other people, and they're not educating, they're not taking the time, it's pretty much just a sell. I don't want to go back to that place. Like I don't care
Yeah.
how hot the chick was. I don't care how big her booty, titties, whatever,
See?
whatever your thing is. I don't care. Kinkles. I've heard some dudes liking kinkles, whatever. I don't
Oh
care
God.
what it is. I'm not going back. Like that
Yeah.
person could be a giraffe for all I care.
Yeah.
As long as they know what their shit is, they know cannabis, they know how to sell it, I'm coming back. But
Oh
like
yeah.
those other things, no. Like I don't want to go. Like the time and place is what I'm trying to say too. Like when I'm on Instagram, since I'm a man, I'll get some of the stupidest posts. Like suggestions, like boobies and stuff. I'm like, bro, time and place. Like I'm not here for that. I'm trying to do business, and you have me stuff popping up that I don't want to see. Like I try to look at fishing, and like you can't look at weed. So stuff like that to help, but it's kind of annoying because we're trying to be taken serious, but at the same time, you have people that are making it less serious. And I get it. We should be able to have fun, but you have to have a happy medium of
Oh
having
yeah.
fun, but being taken serious too by being a professional. This is a profession. This is a professional industry. And we should start treating it like that. Like the sexualization stuff really does need to stop. This bikini bud tender stuff,
That needs to
it,
stop.
it does. If that's your thing, cool. But it's just not helping the industry out. I don't know how
No.
many more negative things I've heard about that versus good things. And to be honest, it's kind of weird because you have nothing for the ladies. Like
Yeah.
if you're gonna do the bikini bud tenders, at least have some dudes in there for the chicks. And I'm a straight guy, and I'm admitting that you're missing something out there. I'm a capitalist at the end of the day. You're missing out on a demographic there when you do that.
Really are. And especially, and I totally get why women are like heavy smokers. Like I get why there's a lot more, whether you're a
Yeah.
single mom or have 10 kids and you have an annoying husband. Like, you know what keeps us sane for not hitting you with our cars or wanting to go on Snap is marijuana. Like, really, instead of
Yeah.
us being on pills and being depressed and having, depression after giving birth and all this stuff that we already go through, stop
Yeah.
hocking up us on pills and just give us some weed. Stop the flowers because those things die. Buy us some chocolates with some bud, and my guy, your girl will be all over you. Like, seriously, just
Yeah.
it really is wild to me that that just that's what's now selling weed. Like it,
Yeah.
I just feel like the bikini thing needs to stop. I'm free for all the free dressing, but if we can have a measure on where the shirts can be, let's not show all cleavage. Some cleavage, sure, great. A little V cut, cool.
And some girls they can't help it
And
regardless
they
of what
can't
shirt they're
help it,
wearing. Yeah, yeah,
right? And that's
yeah,
okay, because that's
yeah,
the way their body's made. That's
yeah.
fine.
You know,
But the girls that are showing a lot of stomach or
hmm
wearing extremely tight pants. I mean, don't get me wrong. I wear my nice comfy yoga pants because I hit the gym right after.
yeah,
But I also am not trying to show off a lot, but I also am one of those people that I do sometimes have to tie my shirt up in a knot because it is way too long. And I feel like it being too long, even having a small shirt, it's unisex. If
hmm
it's a man, a small man,
yeah,
so it's kind of like I kind of have to tie my shirt to look a little bit professional, and I kind of want to be comfortable at the same time. So
hmm
here's my big hoodie,
yeah,
kind of deal. I mean, I still
yeah,
have my work shirt on now, but I mean, I just wish there were more classes. I wish if the person didn't know bud tending, we can implement, a 3-week training before getting onto the floor. This shadowing and following shit does not really help. If the
Yeah.
person's more hands on, I mean, I have to let them get on my register to really understand what they're doing.
Yeah.
Again, at the end of the day, if they mess up on my stuff, it's on me. And that really fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Really does, because it doesn't make me feel like my job is secured in any type of way.
Yeah.
And that sucks. And that
Yeah.
really
It does.
sucks because this industry is not a stable, and for everybody that listens, this industry is not a really stable industry at the moment, because
No.
there are people that are left and right changing, employees and employers getting bought out and all sorts of stuff. And even when you get bought out, you have these big companies, which happened to me, saying, your job is secured, you got your job. And the next thing I knew, the week later, here's my severance packet.
Hmm.
And it's kind
Out
of
the
like,
door. Good luck.
oh, yeah, see you later, deuces. New Mexico's, I ain't got to give you a reason. I
Hmm.
don't have to tell you, because it's such a high rate of unemployment,
Hmm.
So it's kind of, if you're going to be in this industry, it's cutthroat.
Yeah.
And
It is.
it's bad. It's sad to say, because when you get into into a, a place of an establishment that you like, it's, you have to work at a team together, but at the same time, it's every man for themselves. It really is. Because if someone fucks up and they blame you, you have to like find a way or have the proof that your ass is covered. You
Yeah.
know? Cuz
And
they're going to be like, "You know what? They said it was you, and if you can't prove that it wasn't you, you're out that door."
yeah.
And you're kind of like, "But I didn't even do that."
Yeah.
And you're still, bye, see you later.
Yeah, and it's an at-will state, so that's the worst part. They can fire you for any reason, other than discriminatory reasons. But they can
Jesus.
fire you for any reason, and that's unfortunate, because that's kind of sucks,
It
like because
does.
that can happen and it happens all the time, especially in this industry. It's so cutthroat. People are so they get it so weird when it comes to the industry, especially if it's not their company. I'm like, bro, you just work there. You're getting like 13, $12 an hour. Like, I don't
Oh,
know why you're putting your life on the line or your reputation on the line like that for this company that could give two shits less of you, you know?
yeah, and that's the bad part, because when I had asked one of the companies that I worked for, um, you know, because they let me go supposedly for they weren't making enough money. There wasn't enough
Mm,
revenue to keep me. I was one of the new hirees. Okay, cool, great. That's fine with me. But when I ask them, because they tell me, we're going to give you a recommendation letter, and I'm going to see how far that recommendation letter goes. I'm going to put that to the test. Um, and, he goes, I go, okay, well, are you going to, if I file for unemployment, are you going to fight that? And that's my right to ask. I have the right to
yeah,
ask that. Tell me why. He goes, oh, we have, a write up for you, that we needed to talk to you about. And I said, oh, yeah. And they said, yeah. And I was like, is it because I had a customer who came in and they looked at the back of a box of a product and saw that terpenes were added into this product? Not this customer knowing their product, knowing, doing their, education and stuff like that, came up to me and was like, that changes the whole product. This doesn't make it what it is, and it is false advertisement. I can't sit there and lie to my customer. I'm not going to
yeah,
sit there and be like, no, no, no. Like, nah, you're right. Like, you're absolutely right. Like, a thousand
yeah,
percent. And that's what they supposedly wrote me up for, was talking bad about the owner. But it was never brought to my acknowledgement. It was never brought until that day that they were letting me go.
yeah,
Then they decided to say, oh, she's smart. She knows what she's doing. Okay. But then when I brought up a pun of saying, so you're giving me a recommendation letter, but you're telling me I did bad. So when I let unemployment know about this, what do you think they're going to think? Like,
yeah,
then again, like, I don't think they understood. I'm not dumb. I know my stuff. I know weed, but I also know my law. Like, I'm
yeah.
not I'm not dumb in this. And I think in their head they seriously thought I was going to be that person that was going to, okay, well, I
Well, they
guess
just
let
used
me
to
sign.
the little girl that comes in. Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
whatever.
so
Yeah,
that
yeah,
happy go like, "Hi, how are you doing?" Like, "Ha ha ha." Like, no, my change of voice changed from customer service faking, "Hi, how are you?" to my regular average normal tone.
yeah,
And I think it was they didn't decide to keep me because I wasn't bringing in not enough sales, but not the sales that they wanted of just selling weed
Yeah.
and being like, "Yeah, that's exactly what you want." Yeah, exactly. Like, no,
Mhm.
I'm not the type to do that. And
Yeah.
I know there's others that are, but to me it's just because you don't know the product and you don't know what you're
Mhm.
selling.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh,
But, I could talk about this all
me
day,
too.
but, let's wrap up this one with we got a couple
Seriously.
more topics to go on, and this has been a great conversation. To be honest, this is something that we need to talk about more again in the future.
Oh
And if
yeah.
you want to come on again the show again one day, let me know. But we can definitely keep this conversation going because it's something important. And I've heard this conversation a few times. This isn't the first time it's been brought up. It's just as a dude in the industry, you bring it up like, "What are you gay?" And I'm like, "No, I
No.
just know you guys aren't making money the right way because you're missing demographics, and
Yeah,
you're missing customer
definitely.
service." Like I've been on that short end of the stick. Like in Washington, I had a bud tender, and she wasn't very attractive, but I figured she was knowledgeable. She knew certain things, and I was like, "Cool." I was like, "I want something that tastes good." And I compared it to a similar product that's found over there that I really like, very terpy, good tasting. And she said, "Oh, if you love them, you're gonna love this." And I was like, "Oh, cool, all day." Right. So I get in the car with my best friend's driving, her husband's there, I'm visiting them and I'm in the back
Oh
seat
gosh.
and I'm about to open this bag and I open it, smells like feet, mold, and just a
Oh,
mushroom. It's just the
God.
grossest thing ever. It didn't take very long for that scent to get to the front. And they were like, "Oh my God." I was like, "Yeah, guys, I'm sorry." And I closed it up. I was like, "Oh, she lied to me." Ugh.
Ugh.
And like, I didn't say this. My best friend, she goes, "She wasn't even cute, dude." And I was like, "Oh."
That's the worst part.
Yeah,
That's
I
the
was like,
worst part. It
"Oh."
wasn't even cute, dude. Like,
Yeah, I
oh,
was
you
like,
got that
"Oh
bullshit.
man." I was like, "She
That's
got me."
funny.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
horrible. Okay,
So
that's funny but horrible at the same time.
it
Oh
is, it is. And I was like,
no.
I'm glad I wasn't the one who said it. So
That's so bad.
it
Oh
is.
no.
I was like, when another woman says that, it's like, "Ooh, dang." Because like we were offended. Like it was such a bad smell that she was so offended that just came out. You know what I mean? She was like,
Oh,
"Ugh, why would you do that to us?
like
Like, what
what?
is wrong with you?" And so I know she was just trying to get rid of that because of how horrible that was. And I was a
Yeah.
victim of it. So don't do that because I will never, ever, ever go to that dispensary ever
Ever
again
again. Yeah.
because one, I got lied to, and then two, I mean, I didn't say this, but I just thought it was hilarious. My friend, made it brought up the fact that she wasn't attractive and didn't know anything, and I was just like, "Hey, that was your words, not mine." But it was really funny because that was such an offensive smell. I never want to smell that again. I haven't yet, and
Ugh.
like that was just so gross.
Oh
Um,
God.
I think we ended up throwing it away. It was only like $30 for the eighth, but like still, like, oh, that
$30 is
sucked.
still a lot. Well, that's still a
Yeah,
lot.
it's still a lot. Yeah. So I was just like, "Oh, dude." So
Damn.
yeah, I've been on the short end of the stick of that. So, stop doing that, guys. You're really hurting yourselves. You could be making more by trying to go after all the demographics you can as possible. Don't
Yeah.
just go after the dudes because they have boners because you get one too. You know, women love men too. Sometimes they love other women too, but they love
Yeah.
men too, and they love seeing attractive men. So add something in there too. But educate people, train
Definitely.
people, hire people who know their stuff because they will also help you on the floor and with your training as well. So you can do certain things, but you got to actually like teach people things. You can't just take the
Exactly.
21-year-old who doesn't know anything, throw them in there, tell them you want them to just sell because that's what they're going to do. They don't know anything better.
Is yeah, and I mean you can really mess up a patient. A lot of people don't think that you
Mhm.
don't get cancer patients or people with chronic pain. A lot of
Yeah.
people don't say think that because there is that HIPAA. And that's
Mhm.
another thing like I that the industry doesn't take serious about is that
Yeah.
HIPAA. And I feel like everybody should have that. And I
Yeah.
feel like companies should pay for that because it is hefty and that's how you educate your people on how to be secret on things and build that relationship. And I've had people who do have cancer. I do have people that will strictly ask for me for that. I do have people that I have helped with their, seizures and recommended them with things that nobody else has ever told them.
Yeah.
Um, I even had a patient that she was wondering why her cancer was so high up, and they were giving her sugar gummies.
Mhm.
Cancer is such an addict to sugar. It's something
Mhm.
that it's addicted to. You don't give them that.
Yeah. Should be like an
And
RSO or something or PICO,
yeah,
excuse me.
and no, she was never told that, and I had to change it out. I mean, slowly but surely we got her. to commit to it, and she's doing a lot better now,
Yeah.
and it's just about educating, even
Yeah.
about CBD, CBNs. Just Google it, look it
Yeah.
up. It's not that hard. It's really actually interesting. It really
Yeah.
is,
And
you
there's a
know.
bunch of accounts online too, that
Oh,
educate these days.
yeah,
There's
there's
so many accounts.
videos, there's
Yeah.
YouTube
Yeah.
University, people. YouTube University. It's
You guys
20.
YouTube everything else. You should.
Yeah, YouTube it.
Yeah, it's like you guys do it for everything else. Do it for this
Do
too. There's nothing
it.
wrong with that.
What's the
100%.
difference from doing it from learning how to fix your car to learning what really marijuana is?
Yeah,
Just
exactly. From the
YouTube it.
history to whatever, just have a nerdy day with it, smoke, do whatever. But anyway, let's continue on the conversation. We have two more conversations. We'll try to
Yeah,
get through it. And thank you so much for bringing this up. And when you brought it up to me, I was like, you know what, this does need to be talked about. But I don't want to talk from the woman's perspective. So I'm glad you were able to give me the woman's perspective and the side and everything like that. So thank you so much, and thank you so much for wanting to share that. Not everybody feels compelled or safe enough to share stories like that. So I really appreciate your braveness, or you being so brave enough to come to me and to share with everybody your stories and everything. So hopefully more people start coming out and talking about their experiences with this too.
hopefully it causes a snowball effect. I mean, I don't know what's gonna happen me being on here. I did let my bosses know, hey, I'm going on a podcast. I did let them know. I mean, I'm willing to take that chance. It just
Yeah.
shows to everybody in the industry how really cutthroat, and if your company actually has your back or not. I
Yeah.
mean, I didn't say anybody's name, no people, but I will say shout out to the ones who did help me out, and I will
Yeah.
say shout out to the ones who do really see potential in me and what I have brought into the table. And I really do shout out Astro Buds for giving me that time and letting me be educated by them. Shout out to Mike and Val, Colton. Shout out to Shane. They all dope people. All of them are like super cool people, really are. I really do appreciate them and all the education. I shout out to Mango for seeing, the actual knowledge that I have and actually seeing like, oh dang, she is pretty. Not only she can sell, not only she's educated, but she actually has a customer base that follows her.
Yeah.
And it feels good when a company sees that and not just like a pretty face. And like I said, I may not be like Kim Kardashian. I'm your average looking Joe. I think I have some pretty attributes and stuff like that, but I actually also want my community, El Paso, New Mexico, Sunland Park, to really be educated on what they know, their laws. Let's be smart about it. Let's,
Yeah.
not make it a felony anymore. Let's show them that, hey, it doesn't have to be that. I'm not out here wanting to shoot up schools. I'm just wanting to be a chill guy and just smoke my weed, man. Really.
100%. Well, I appreciate that. And thank you again for sharing me. And I look forward to continue this conversation with these next topics
Yeah,
right now. So
sure.
thank you again. So let's jump over to the last two topics, guys. We're going to be talking about the New Mexico legislative update. Now, like I said, it's just kicking up and roaring, and it's kicking up. So there's two bills I want to talk about. And the first one is going to be HB 10. It's a House bill. If you guys don't know, if it's introduced in the House, it has to go through that full chamber. Then it goes over to the Senate. It has to go through that full chamber before it goes to the governor. Now, it's the same direction. If it goes from the Senate, it has to go there, then the House. So this one is in the House right now. What this one is now, this one's a very important one, and this is one that we all have been talking about. It's the enforcement bill. Now, this bill would pretty much add more funding to RLD, which is what CCD is under, to the Rules and Licensing and Rules Licensing Division. I had to think about it for a second. I don't deal with them as much, even though you kind of do, right? So they'll be under them, and it's pretty much a police force, straight up police force. They have every authority and duty of a police, except they're going to be dealing with cannabis. Now, there's a lot of concerns within the community on how this can be a slippery slope and how they're afraid of kind of being targeted. And then there's, of course, verbiage in there of warrantless searches and warrantless, seizures, et cetera, et cetera. Now that kind of worries me too, but I want to read the bill a little bit more in depth to kind of get an idea. And then on Friday, they're going to have the first committee hearing for this bill. I'm going to be up there for Crucis Week. Gino's probably going to be up there too, so we'll be kicking it, maybe. So I'll be up there for Crucis Week, and I'm going to try to hit up that committee, try to see what they're saying, what the debates are, what the questions are, really get a clarification of how they're trying to go about this. This bill was, I guess, introduced last year or the year before. And then, of course, there's some updates on it. Now, we do need better enforcement here in New Mexico. How do we go about that is probably the biggest question that we have to answer. And it's going to be the most important one, because if we don't do this correctly, we could be shooting ourselves in the foot. Because I'm
Yeah.
sure you've noticed yourself too, working from places that the enforcement is very lax around here.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It really is. And that kind of just baffles my mind. It really, I can't even express, like, there's literally, I have no words for it. I really can't. I usually am very talkative about certain topics, and this one I just, what do you do? Really?
Yeah.
What can you do?
Yeah, other than like adding a police force kind of thing and giving more funding.
Mm.
Now we want to just have the CCD to have the authority to go and seize the plants and this and that. But then you go into the fact that, all right, right now they're kind of picking low hanging fruit and not inspecting before places open. So what's that going to fix in that sense too? We have to fix those issues before this will work in the first place. We have to ensure that this will be fair, because if not, then we're going to get people that get targeted and shut down for the worst and wrong reasons. Someone maybe just didn't know, or someone's just starting out, not someone that's been here for 4 years and have refused to do the right thing this whole time, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And we'll get onto the conversation about that a little bit too. I have a whole little segment on that. But like, the enforcement needs to be the people that aren't doing the right thing and just refuse to do any of the right things at all. Like not paying taxes, also not following the law at all when it comes to tracking and stuff like that. I don't know how many times I've seen like a tracking thing on when it comes to like some of these charges and stuff.
Oh
Um
God, it's insane.
it
That,
is.
and that's why I say, if you don't know what you're doing and you don't pay attention to detail, that really throws off your whole entire system. It
Yeah.
really does. It can either break you or make you, or lose profit. Like, a
Yeah.
lot of people think that, oh, this product is $3, $4. No, like, it's not. Like, a QP can go from what, almost $900 to 15 to 2,000, depending on the cut. Like,
Mhm.
that's insane. And for someone to just throw that whole graphic off can just really, just because you didn't pay attention to detail.
Yeah.
So that's why I tell people, if you're going to be in the industry, please pay attention to detail, whether it be the laws, what you're saying to someone, your return policy,
Yeah.
whatever it is. Just be detailed on it and say it correctly.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Use the
all.
right terminology. There's even things that we can't even claim. Like, we can't say this will cure this because it hasn't
Exactly.
been approved by the FDA. You
Right.
can't even do that with CBD.
Right. I
You
can't
know,
be like, oh, yeah, this is going to stop your cancer. Like,
mhm,
no. Like, I can even barely say this might slow down your Like, I can't even say that. All I can say is this can benefit you on, your nausea, or being, the inflammation you have, or maybe in help, I don't know,
yeah,
maybe slow
yeah,
it down, like,
yeah,
I have to emphasize it so much. Like, the
mhm,
maybe part, just because I'm not really trying to diagnose you or tell you, because I'm not a physician. The
yeah,
most that I've ever had was my massage therapy license. That's as close as I ever got.
yeah,
So I can't really diagnose you. But
yeah, and
maybe it could help. Maybe there's a possibility your next results might be a lot better, maybe.
mhm,
But a lot of the times that maybe it is, but
mhm,
I can't, like you said, I can't do that. I can't.
yeah.
I can't.
Yeah, 100%. So we'll see what happens with this bill, and where it goes and everything, because this is a very important one, but it could also be a very damning bill for us too.
Yeah.
So we really need to start showing up and start contacting our representatives on things. I do have these bills all the time posted. I'm probably going to post this one again. So if those of you who are watching, just know I'm probably going to be posting a lot of bills here in the next few days, especially one like this. When I'm at the legislature, I'll try to update everybody what I can, what's going on in the committee, what's been introduced amendment wise, and then we'll go from there. But that one's, I would say, cut and dry essentially. But there's a lot that goes into it. They're requesting quite a bit of money for this new enforcement kind of agency thing, but it scares the shit out of me because this can go bad really quickly.
It can
Um,
turn chaotic fast. It really
yeah.
can.
Like,
And
there's the stories from Colorado of them showing up SWAT style with shields and stuff just to do an inspection. You're like, bro, what is
yeah,
going
like,
on here? Like,
is that necessary?
yeah,
What?
So like I get it, certain places when you rate it, you don't know what you're getting into, like the one that happened in Farmington. We'll get to that again. Not Farmington, excuse me, in northern New Mexico.
Oh
I think
yeah.
outside of Estancia. Like something like that. Okay, cool. That one's totally illegal. I get it. But these people are licensed, if they're
Yes.
breaking the law, just take their license, just confiscate things. Like, they're like, come on, guys, don't treat us all like we're criminals. Like
Yeah.
it's just going into it, treating us like criminals is what we're afraid of. And it's bad enough that the industry is already afraid to talk to the government as is and tell them what they want for the industry. If we have bad relations when it comes to this enforcement agency, we're just going to have a mess here.
Oh yeah.
So keep in mind that these bills are going to be coming fast. A lot of them won't pass. They'll die, whatever, get merged, but I'll keep everybody updated on it. That's all I have for that bill in particular. Do you have anything before we move on to the next one?
Nope. You covered it all. You on
Yeah,
it?
there's not like too much to say. Yeah. I try to stay on it.
No, you on it.
Own it. Yeah, and then so the next bill we're going to talk about is SB 152. Yes, that's a Senate bill. So, like I said, it goes
Yep.
backwards now, goes to the Senate, then the House. So this one, in my opinion, is one that needs to die as soon as possible. This one doesn't even need to make it to outside of the Senate. Maybe not even out of the committees. And you guys will probably know what I'm talking about. This is a license pause bill, and what this was going to pause is production, not retail, nothing else, just production. So those of you out there that are hoping this will, lower the retails, it won't.
Mm-mm.
It's going to stay the same. And to be honest, even if they did close the licensing, that's not going to save you. If you're not
No.
going to make it today, you're not going to make it tomorrow.
No.
Licenses open or closed. And I'm sorry. You're going to be for sale within a month. But so SB 152, what this would do was it allow counties to petition to the CCD to close licenses for a 2-year period at a time. Now, what this doesn't do is it doesn't limit how many times you can do that. So you can indefinitely get rid of licensing in that area of the state forever, essentially, just by petitioning them over and over and over. And to be honest, there's a good chunk of the state that would probably want to do that just because they hate cannabis. And I keep telling people this all the time. Even Colorado and California only allow 30% of the cities to sell cannabis in the first place. So if that was us that did the same thing, because we don't allow local jurisdictions to ban cannabis,
Right.
they just can do like Assumption Lounge and like 24-hour stuff is like really what their power is, and the 300 feet thing. But there are probably a couple other things I'm not thinking on the top of my head. But there's a lot of things we didn't allow them to do because most states have that where cities vote, well, do we want cannabis or not? We're so rural that wouldn't have worked, and we probably would have been at 20% of cities here in New Mexico. Roswell tried a really illegal rollout, and they tried that. But finally
Really?
they had to give up. And yeah, for a while, Roswell wasn't putting out rules. They didn't start adult sales when everyone else did in the state. They started like 2-3 months after everybody. It was
Oh.
ridiculous. And it
Oh.
was because of the anti-cannabis stuff. So they would probably be one of the first ones to go about this way. So we're hurting ourselves and shooting ourselves in the foot by doing this, and also there's no limit on how many times they can do this. So it can just keep going and going and going. And the way New Mexico works, that's what's going to happen. Look how long it took for us to open our licensing when we went from medical to rec. It took us
Oh
going
no.
recreational cannabis to open it. And even then, before that, the licenses were like 80 to 120K, ridiculous numbers that, no regular New Mexican can afford.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and and yeah, and having cheaper licenses was almost like a social equity program on its own, like an accidental one. And so we're learning that instead of trying to create things, why don't we create an easier entry point into the industry where it's fair for everybody, the
Oh
big
yeah.
guys and the small guys? Will the big guys, stick around? Sure. You're going to have your Walmarts, you're going to have your Bud Lights and all these big corporations, but you're going to have your craft guys as long as you do it correctly and as long as you allow production to happen. Because this
Right.
also affects the micros. There's no language in here that exempts them. So what this tells me is that they're going after the grow. But what confuses me is the CCD has the authority and the power to change the plant counts here in New Mexico. Right now, they're set at 20,000, and that's an emergency rule. And the reason why that the emergency rule happened was Ultra Health sued the state because it was at 10,000. That was the
That's
max.
right.
And they petitioned in the court that wasn't enough, blah, blah, blah. We're going to run out. That's not fair. So the CCD made an emergency rule 20,000. So now the CCD doesn't want to change the plant counts because they're afraid of losing in another court battle. But the reason why they added that plant count in the first place is because they said we're going to run out of cannabis, but that's no longer the case. Now we're more set up. Now we're going. Now we need to figure out what to do with this oversaturation thing. But we have something in the bill already where the CCD is supposed to meet every year and adjust the plant count numbers from a whatever statistical mathematical equation or whatever and go from there. But they haven't done it because of that and because of other places in this country have sued. Now, what you're telling me is that you would rather the growers sue you and then worry about the growers suing you again for this one, because that's what's going to happen. They're just going to sue you when this, if this law were to pass.
Right.
So what's the fear? So the CCD doesn't want to get sued, but then the state's going to get sued because of this law that could or could not pass. I don't know. I hope it dies. I think it will, because it's just a very terrible, terrible bill. It's written poorly, and this is not how you regulate an industry. It's just a little ridiculous. And CCD already has something in the law that they're supposed to do that they're not, just because they're afraid of getting sued. And to be honest, like, the CCD isn't in charge of interpreting the law. That's up to the courts. The courts interpret laws. That's why we have separation of powers. The legislature creates the laws. The courts interpret the laws. That's how it works. So we have to allow that process to go. Will the growers win? I don't know, but they can sue all they want. I say let them try, let them do it. But
Yeah.
at the same time, we have to understand that we're doing this for certain reasons, not to be assholes or whatever, but closing licenses for retail or at all kind of just screws people over, and it screws the local New Mexican over. And I feel that there's other things that we can do to go about this issue in the state versus closing licenses whatsoever. And the number one is enforcement.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so because that's like our number one issue, but there's a lot of stuff that also goes around that too, not just enforcement. So there's a lot of things, and I know I was babbling on with it. There was just a lot with that bill. I mean, what is your thoughts on this one?
It's it's dumb. I feel like maybe if it was met as a 50-50 and got with people who are in the industry or got some type of input, uh,
Hmm.
I think it could be a good bill if they wanted to do a 50-50 meet me halfway. I mean, there are companies that just don't really give a fuck to follow anything. And
Yeah.
that kind of fuck, and that I can understand that, like, fucks us up too. And it just all goes back to the whole professionalism. Like, how
Hmm.
professionally do you want to be as a mom and pop shop? And coming from a big industry, whether you be Colorado, Washington, Oklahoma, wherever the hell you are, and you're a big corporate industry, you should be wanting to follow rules. So there
Hmm.
shouldn't be no need for that bill.
Yeah.
But it's too chaotic. It's too stupid.
Yeah.
It's just like how you said, it's poorly written. It doesn't want to meet halfway. It doesn't even meet a quarter of a way of the things. Like, what are you doing other than hurting yourself and making people pay? And I think they are pretty scared on getting sued, just because I feel like 75% of the time they probably are going to have to end up paying the person out, or they're going to end up losing.
Hmm.
Just because CDC, I feel like sometimes is really messy. Like,
Hmm.
they really are. They lose a lot of paperwork.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like they kind of shoot themselves in the foot too. I
Well, I
mean,
mean, a lot of this, them being backed up, was them doing it to themselves, being backed up on purpose to slow down the licensing. But that shot themselves in the foot, and now they're like, "Oh, well, we're sorry,
now we're
we're
overpopulated
over,
with it.
whatever." Yeah, yeah. Sorry, it took us too long, but it was intentional at the same time. So that doesn't help when we
No.
intentionally shoot ourselves in the foot to fix a problem. We created a whole nother slew of problems on top of
Yeah.
that.
You
Like
created a whole nother hole. You're digging
we
a
had an
hole on top
issue
of a
that
hole.
was yeah, we had an issue that was going to fix itself.
Yep.
Capitalism will fix itself, especially if we have better enforcement. But instead of focusing on getting better enforcement, cracking down on those who are whatever, and figuring out through the legislature what they really need to crack down on these people, now we're getting this. Well, we're just going to slow down licensing because people are afraid they're not going to make it. This is capitalism. This is a competition. If you make it, you
Yeah.
make it. You don't, you
You don't.
don't.
You
This is
don't.
binary.
And
Yeah.
it goes with any business. Being a business owner myself, they always say, and you don't have to go to business school for this at all.
Whoa.
Um, in the first 5 years of your business, that's going to tell you whether you make it or break it. If you
Hmm.
can't sustain in those 5 years, you aren't going to see profit for yourself for a good minute. So if
Yeah.
you can't sustain the business just continuing having its own revenue, I'm sorry, you might as well sell,
Yeah.
and let a big pop, a bigger corporation take that. And sorry, mom and pop, I know you wanted to be there, but you were going to just kill yourself.
Hmm.
So, yeah, definitely. It's
Yeah.
just,
So
mm,
We'll see
Mhm.
what happens with this bill. A lot of people are against it just for the fact that it just doesn't make any sense. Like why would we murky the water more when we already have something that we can implement? It's just there's fears of getting sued. It's written in the law. It's not like it's a rule or something that they made up. The industry is different now than it was in 2022 when we first opened. It's 2025 now. We're getting into more of a mature state with our industry, and we don't need 20,000 plants. We're finding out that no one needs 20,000 plants. Like, why? Because your quality goes down, and then we end up with a bunch of moldy stuff. Like, you can't keep quality up with that many plants. So, we'll see what happens. And that's all I really have for the, NM Legis update. And I'll be back next week for the rest of it and everything. And all right, so her phone died, but she's back. Obviously, the scene changed. So thank you for rejoining again. Stuff happens. But I was ending the segment, and I was just ending on, what are your thoughts on, that bill for, pretty much ending production licenses, if a county wants to.
That's so sad because working in production has been something that I've truly loved. I mean, I've worked in
Mhm.
production actually learning how to use a Fruitorola and learning what it really was rather than hand drawing, rolling at some companies that I was at. And that's kind of what I enjoyed and what made me fall in love with the plant. And production just teaches a lot of people. So if you're going to
Mhm.
join the industry, I suggest to a lot of people try to visit a farm. Try to ask, about production. And I know a lot of people aren't because secrets,
Mhm.
but you know, if you're going to be a dispensary and you're going to have like Field of Dreams where they have plants in the back, don't be surprised when people ask, "Hey, can I learn about that?" Or employees be like, "Can I go into that room?" I think they should be allowed to. I think that should be torn like a tour. I also think that if you're gonna have bud tenders that don't know anything, take them to a grow up. You
Yeah.
know all of these people, all these vendors, everybody, and they want you in your industry. Why not have them go to that facility to learn about the process? So that
Yeah.
way, when they're talking, it's a great thing. You know.
Yeah.
I don't feel like they should end productions. Productions teach so much, and that shows whether you love the cannabis or you're just there for a paycheck. It
Yeah.
really does. I
Yeah.
think it's just where you can get a lot of education being in the industry.
Yeah.
You can get a lot of experience. Being a trimmer isn't easy. There's a lot of things that you have to do being a trimmer, and a lot of people don't know that. They think it's going in there and cutting weed for funsies,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and no, there's some companies that don't even want you touching the weed and you have to be like this cutting the plant. I mean, it's insane. It really is. But that's
Mhm.
where you get a lot of your knowledge, terpenes, your smells, because there's so many smells. You can walk into a grow and clean up a tree and come out smelling like it. And you go home
Yeah.
and you take out that shower. No, people will not know unless you work in that grow how beautiful that aroma smell when the shower is nice and hot and you
Mhm.
are covered in plant matter and keef and been cutting and all this stuff, how much of an aroma that is and how relaxing it is. So I think that is a BS bill. Let's not get rid of production. But
Yeah.
I do feel like when we do production, and you have a retail side, and when you're sending product to a certain place, let's just be a little bit more detailed on that. Let's be a little bit more clean because that can be messy too.
Yeah. And
So
that's another issue that we have is the tracking thing and people not I hear I don't know how often they didn't have COAs, like they refused to give me a COA. I was like, the hell do you mean? Or like they didn't
they,
know what a COA was, and I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
whoa, dude, we're going in year 3, homie. Like
And you don't
y'all need to clean
know.
it up.
And
Huh?
that's like detail. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know how stressful it is. Detail, 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 detail. Pay attention to those details, man, because that's what's going to break you, make you, or just screw you over. It really
Yeah.
is. And
100%.
that's wild. That's
Yeah.
wild that a lot of people don't know what COAs were. And now, people now for samples, before you used to just be able to collect a sample and be like, all right, cool. Now they're really getting onto you, like you need to have a biotrack for that. You really
Mhm.
need to have a manifest for that. You really need to
Mhm.
have it in the system for that. And there's still those vendors that come in and they don't have that. What do you want me to do for you and your company? Like,
Yeah.
let's be smart about it. That's why they make these bills, because they want to see, are you going to be professional? Are you going to follow it? Are you going to be smart? And
Yeah.
you don't
Because
have to go to business school for it. You don't.
and we could have a less strict regulated industry if we do it right and show them, yeah, we're willing to do it this way, blah, blah, blah. Because if we're doing it right and we tell them, hey, we're doing it right, we're doing it your way. However, we're having this issue, it's just not working. Can we try it this way? And then they're going to
Oh
be
yeah.
more receptive to us to be like, yeah, let's try it this way. That sounds like a good idea. You guys are the boots on the ground. And to be honest, the legislators want to hear from us as the boots on the ground, because a lot of the people that are talking to them and doing these bills, they have a lot of money. And so a
Oh.
lot of these people are the big corporation guys. And so they're
Mm-hmm.
going to tell them what they want, not what you want or what the little guys want and need, and what who
Oh.
wants in Silver City or in Alamogordo or in Farmington, Carlsbad. They don't care. They
Mm-mm.
just care what the big guys want, and they're the only ones talking to them. So it's important for us to go to the legislators, to call our legislators, to write, to
Let them
email,
know.
whatever. Let them know exactly what you want. And that's why I've been doing those town halls. We're actually going to be releasing that data probably here in the next few weeks, next few days. I'm going to go to be the legislature. I'm going to be at the legislature this weekend. Hopefully I can try to do it then, but we'll see. We're going to give them the data that we've been collecting from the other side. Essentially, we're
Right.
getting two sides of the story. We have the corporate side, the rich guys side that are putting these bills in, but we're getting the other side, the real industry side of what the industry wants, not just these guys. I get it. That's fair. You guys are more than within your rights to tell them what you want, but we need to hear the other side too.
Right.
Both
Definitely.
sides really need to be heard. And to be
Oh,
honest, they're saying two different things for two different reasons. The smaller guys want open licenses. My data isn't showing that they want closed licenses. It's the bigger
right.
guys and the people that are afraid to fail or that are failing because they
Yeah.
think closing licenses will end all competition and they're fine. No, that's not how it
Oh
works.
no, yeah, definitely. And that's just something that's crazy. I feel like that they need to work on, definitely. But no,
So,
I think that bill needs to not be there. I think we
yeah.
need to keep production. I think that's something that can be used for education purposes. Really can be.
Yeah, that's a good point. I really like that the perspective that you brought to it. I've been growing for, like 12, 13 years now, something like that. And yeah, having that grow experience it makes a big difference in a lot of different areas because not everybody knows how the plant grows and the process for it. And you get a real intimate feel with the plant. So
Yeah.
let's move on to the very last segment. I'll get everybody out here because I want to update you guys on this. This is really important because this is a part of some of the issues that we're having in New Mexico. It's the illegal grow ops. And I've been
Oh,
updating you guys over about 2 years now, Gino? Yeah, I've been updating you guys on this for almost like 2 years. Since we found out about it and since it happened, I've been giving you all updates when I can. Well, here's the most recent update. So it looks like that farm that I told you that was still operating a couple of months ago that had the legal Chinese farm people or the legal Chinese immigrants that were suing Benally and all them. That farm got shut down by the FBI.
oh
So it wasn't
God.
like just the state police; they got the feds called in on them. And of course, they already have a lawsuit into the state. I was looking at lawsuits earlier, and of course, you can see their lawsuit in there. And of course, you see the Chinese dude name on there and all that good stuff. So like these weren't good players in New Mexico. They got their license taken away. They got a fee sent down to them. They didn't pay for it. They kept operating. They opened up another one. That one got shut down. And they opened up two more. And it was like they were just multiplying like, like rabbits almost. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that the federal government stepped in. It said that this was a lengthy investigation. So it wasn't like it was something that they decided to do overnight. This is something that they have been collecting evidence on, getting data to ensure that they get a prosecution because this is huge.
Yeah.
But this doesn't make us look good. And this is where the enforcement thing comes from. And the CCD, the reason why they brought that policing thing and they want them to have that kind of power is for farms like this. And that's, I think, where the warrantless searches and seizures comes from. It's just my worry is that it won't just be these guys that are, getting that, kind of treatment. It'll be the guys that are trying to do it right, that are doing it right, that'll get tied up in that sometimes too. So
Yeah.
don't get me wrong. I do want enforcement. I do want them to be able to do something, but I want it done right and I want it done fair.
A
Like,
thousand percent. I definitely
yeah,
agree. I mean, if they have the right paperwork and they have all their, apples in a line and T's and I's crossed and dotted, by all means. But if you don't
yeah,
and you're gonna go in there just to do it, like, all right, let's not be assholes. We're not
yeah,
assholes. We're not, like I said, I mean, we're not like huge criminals doing horrible things out here. We're just growing weed. So
yeah,
I mean, let's be a little civil. Probably
yeah.
hike while I'm growing my weed. Let's be honest.
Yeah, and you can tell if someone has the right intent, like, "Oh,
Oh
my bad. I
yeah.
just fucked that up." And it's instead of just going after me like some hardened criminal, give me a chance, let me fix it, whatever. If I fuck it
Yeah.
up, whatever the fuck, okay. But,
And that's the
like, give me a
sad
chance to
part.
fix it.
Yeah, that's the sad part. That marijuana is being just looked at like, no, once you fucked up, you fucked up. Like that's it. Like
Yeah,
there's no, I'm not gonna let you give it. Like I'm not gonna give it. You have one shot and one shot only. Like you
yeah,
really do. And
yeah,
until the industry gets a little bit more stable, a little bit better, a little bit more seeing where it goes, like other states, then cool, great. You know, I know other states have it worse. You know, I know some people start trying to figure it out there.
yeah,
But I mean, at least there's states where you can go and you can smoke peacefully and not be bothered. I mean, until New Mexico gets their act together, and until people can be educated, right? Until people want to follow the rules correctly, then I think these bills of stupidity, like not having, the production and all the topics we talked about, I feel like until then, until those things are actually talked about and fixed, then I feel like New Mexico can get on the right page with it and actually be a
yeah,
very profitable thing for Texas, New Mexico, and everybody that comes, could be
yeah,
profitable for everybody.
yeah.
But man, that it there's only so many people that are willing to do that.
Yeah, and like I said, this is tricky, and this is not something that's easy. And
Mm-mm.
our issues don't stem from one issue. These are collective issues that create one massive issue, and it's going to take a collective of different fixes and tweaks and changes for us to really tackle this issue in the end. It's not just going to be enforcement that's going to fix this issue at the end of the day. It's going to be other things too on top of that. We need the CCD to be competent. We need them to stop going after this low hanging fruit thing that they've been doing. I don't know if it's intentional or not. And one thing that really pisses me off that needs to stop are these agents are telling people different things, and some of it isn't correct. Now
Yeah.
that I believe is unacceptable. You guys are the enforcers, and you're supposed to know. Some of them are doing this out of opinion versus what the law actually says. So instead of them telling you what the law actually is, they're giving you their opinion of what the law is and should be done or what should be going on. So that shouldn't be going on. If an agent tells you or you're kind of questioning of what they're telling you, ask them if it's law or not. Tell them, is that law or is that your opinion? Because a lot of these guys are going off their opinion and they're pretty much making up laws and saying
Yeah.
that this is it. I got charged for my medical cannabis the other day because it was a drink, and they said that the inspector told them that you have to tax drinks, and I'm like, no, like the law is pretty clear. There is no taxes whatsoever on medical cannabis. It doesn't say anything about except drinks. Like I looked it up
Yeah.
even afterwards to make sure, and I was
They're
like,
like,
no,
hold
it's
on.
clear as day. Yeah, it's clear as day. Yeah, I'm like, that makes
Yeah.
no sense whatsoever because why? And like, it's not the retailer's fault. He's just
No.
following the rules that he told was the rules. So I couldn't be mad at them. I was mad at the CCD. I was like, why the fuck are you telling people that? Because as a patient, you screwed me over, and it was a drink. It was only a few cents, but that could have been an ounce or something else. And I could have been a very poor patient who could barely afford their medicine in the first place. And that tax was either going to make me or break me.
Oh
And
yeah.
so now you're screwing patients over by doing that. And that is unacceptable. So
Very
things like
unacceptable.
that is one of the little things that turn into the big things that screws us over. So that is something that needs to change too. Is
A
for
thousand
some
percent.
reason these guys are going off of opinion versus law, or what it actually says. And
And at the same
so,
time, people need to be educated in their law, whether it
yeah,
be in Texas or it be whether you be a New Mexico resident or you're someone like who's myself who travels back and forth. You
yeah,
need to be educated, up to date, look at things, because if you don't, you can be that person that just gets that listens to that opinion and think it's a law.
yeah.
So,
And I wasn't
man,
going to make a big stink of it. It wasn't their fault. They were just enforcing the rules they told. I would, like I said, be mad at the people, the right people.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
be
yeah,
mad at the right people, and
yeah.
CDC's doing what the hell they're doing.
Yeah, I don't know what the CCD is doing, but
I don't
yeah,
know what they're doing.
yeah, we'll see what happens. They're trying to run it like this is Colorado, and I keep telling people this isn't Oregon, this isn't
No.
Washington, this isn't Nevada, this isn't Michigan. The sure shit isn't Colorado. This is New
Uh-uh.
Mexico. We have to do it the New Mexico way. If not, this isn't going to work. And to be honest, the way that the other states are doing it right now isn't working because none of them know how an actual open market works because all of them closed it. So we'll see what happens. But that's all I have for this and for the episode today. Do you have anything else before we end this for the day? And thank you so much
No.
for your patience.
No, thank you for being patient. My phone died. I'm so sorry. And you probably heard a little bit of background noise. I'm so sorry.
No, no big deal. It's all
If
right.
you guys can blur that out or if you guys can edit that out, that'd be great.
I don't think I heard anything, so that's fine. I
No?
think he's like
Okay,
whisper
cool.
yelling. I think you're the only one who
Great.
can hear
I was so
it.
hoping. I was like, man, this room is so echoey. My son hates having like pictures and stuff. He's more of a poster kind of guy. I was like, this room sounds so echoey to me. I don't know, maybe just because I'm always in this room. I'm always cleaning in little boys, little boys. No,
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
exciting. They're fun.
yeah. Boy, mom life. I get it.
Oh gosh, gotta go smoke me one now.
Yeah, yeah. De-stress on this, and thank you again for joining me on
Thank
this
you for
episode.
having me. I
Of
appreciate you, and it was
course.
super nice meeting you. And stop by on Mango at any time. I'll take care of you. I got you.
Or
For
will, yeah,
sure.
yeah. I stopped by a couple weeks ago. It was real cool. I'll have to stop by again. So I'll see you
Definitely.
next time I'm in Southern. If you're working, I'll stop by.
Yeah, let me know. I'll be there.
Cool. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you everybody for watching this episode, for listening, however you consume this. And thank you again, Stacey, for joining me on this episode. I'd like to get you again sometime in the future. Maybe we can do a little
Yeah.
update or something on this whole sexualization of the industry and see where it's been from
Please.
since then.
Please.
But thank you all again. Make sure you like, subscribe, whatever you got to do to make sure you stay in the know, especially during this legislative session. All right, guys, I'll be back next week. All right. Cheers.
Bye.